Ladies and gentlemen,
tighten your seatbelt as we take you on this smooth ride.
Let's go! It's the morning drive on 103.5 Bola FM, keeping your morning engaging as we take you through the smoothest ride on radio.
From 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
Getting your morning inspired, be informed, let's interact only on the morning drive.
Make it a date with Martin Efanshuku, aka Meta.
And Christy, aka Emenari, aka Classy.
From Monday to Friday, from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
on the morning drive.
103.5 FM. Good morning and welcome to Bona, the 103.5 FM. Today, the 11th day of January 2024. Today is Thursday and the time is a minute past the hour of 7. It's time for newspaper headlines on Bona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. But before we do that, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast or the conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and write to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that the complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also, remember to include your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that the complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of the queried broadcast. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.
You're welcome back to newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on Guardian newspaper, Leadership, Vanguard, Punch, Sun, Daily Post, The Nation, This Day, and if time permits, we're also going to take a look at Nigerian Tribune newspapers. Remember, you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 08096661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. I am Martin. Let's get started with the Guardian newspaper this morning. EFCC releases suspended Minister Betta Edu on bail. Federal government restates defense cooperation with France. Tinubu's actions enough warning for treasury looters. ICPC boss declares. Sanwo-Olu pledges to keep Lagos safe for residents, businesses. YCE decries increasing insecurity in Nigeria, laments shutting down of firms. Lagos state government laws foundation's efforts in reducing out-of-school children. 379 bag first class as University of Lagos graduates 17,464 students at convocation. 379 bag first class as University of Lagos graduates 17,464 students at convocation. Igbo, not beggary, need equal rights, justice. Human Rights Writers Association tell Kano. Umar seeks Tinubu's support to revamp seaport, oil palm projects. Southeast APC condemns suspension, arrest of traditional rulers. Continuous agitations not improving lives, Mosop laments. Anxiety as CBN sacks boards of Union, Keystone, Polaris, banks. Bayelsa fishing community raises alarm over oil spill. LCCI, OPS urge federal government to extend cost-cutting measures to all levels of government, ministries, departments, agencies. Supreme Court returns Fintri as Adamawa governor, reserves judgment in Abia appeal. Africa, orders to lead as energy transition minerals head for $400 billion. Calls for expanded probe intensify as a permanent secretary takes charge from Edu. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency pledges enhanced performance with refurbished forensic lab. Austerity between call for sacrifice and leading by example. National Population Commission collects data to address health challenges in Delta. Nigeria to manufacture in vitro diagnostic other medical devices. Lagos Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps boss assures residents of protection of national assets, critical infrastructure. Baba Adini of Lagos, Sheikh Abua, dies at 101. Sugar producers are sure of price stability during Ramadan. Operatives invade suspected terrorist camp in Imo, arrest 1. Customs records 21.4% revenue increase in 2023. Newborn baby stolen 3 hours after delivery in Nasarawa. Family cries for help over missing 3-year-old daughter in Delta. Mba commissions projects, laws performance of Enugu North local government boss. Supreme Court ruling. Governor Yusuf knows fate Friday as NMPP accuses APC of blackmail. $6 billion Mambila fraud. Shoyinka raises alarm over Aguloye's safety in Kuje prison. Harassment of National Assembly members, Kogi arrest 6 calls for immediate prosecution. Tinubu appoints NACON board management team. Nigeria Security Civil Defense Corps gets 20th commandant in Ondo. NIMC pledges to clear 2-year payment backlog for front-end partners. Governors abdicate duties to Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Econo laments. Police nab 2 armed robbery suspects in Kaduna. Fubara pledges to complete abandoned section of Eche, Ibodo Road. 2 men in court for allegedly stealing property worth 360,000 naira. President Tinubu mourns Baba Adini of Lagos, Sheikh Abua. Tinubu orders ITF to upskill of 20 million local artisans for exportation. Tinubu orders ITF to upskill of 20 million local artisans for exportation. Guyana president meets U.S. official amid Venezuela border road. Court grants University of Calabar professor temporary bail to undergo eye surgery. Data Gate. YPP threatens to shut down Abuja if Tinubu does not probe Tunji Ojo. Police arrest 3 suspected gun runners over attack on Plateau communities. Federal government restates commitment to food security. Police remove DPO over lawyers' illegal detention. Chief of Army Staff charges troops on loyalty, commitment to duty. Nigerians want probe expanded to other poverty alleviation schemes. APC sues Adeleke for appointing PDP member as Osun INEC election official. Chairman. Police nab kidnapper after collecting 25 million naira ransom. Rescue hotelier. That's the much we can take. From from the Guardian newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Guardian newspaper, will flip over to Leadership newspaper. Israel-Hamas war compelled Rome-Greece pilgrimage. Tinubu appoints Hajj Commission, Christian pilgrim boards. Kanu elders fault EFCC raid on Dangote office. AFN board members petition EFCC, ICPC, demand forensic examination of audit committee report. AB dumps Niger rattles for Israeli club. Binot Natanya. Go for gold. Minister Mark charges Eagles. Go for gold. Minister Mark charges Eagles. AFCON AFCON 2023 to air in 180 countries as CAF wraps up global broadcast deals. APC governors hold closed door meeting. Oko Irukera removed, not dismissed from office. Presidency. Israel Hamas war compelled. We've taken this. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Leadership newspaper this morning. Kanu elders fault EFCC raid on Dangote office. NTA secures rights to televise all 52 AFCON matches. AFCON 2023. Ebwe Lords Tinubu minister for release of funds to Eagles. NFF restores Flamingo's technical crew. You lack respect. PSG chief blast Messi. Onana to miss AFCON start from Premier League game. Nigeria partners Saudi on mining sector development. Beer resurfaces as equities investors lose 639 billion naira. Global unemployment rate to rise in 2024, says ILO. ENO seeks Tinubu's backing to revive Akwa Ibom's oil palm sector. NIMC to clear agents' payments backlog by March. Swas becomes new chairman of Chevron Nigeria. Naira depreciation. Cadbury seeks $7.7 million foreign debt conversion to equity. Food prices in November. Nigeria Customs records 3.2 trillion naira revenue, secures a 52 conviction in 2023. NGX Pencom to deepen PFA's equity participation with pension index. Feasting on vulnerable persons funds. Feasting on vulnerable persons funds. Still on play 2 violence. Obaze report. CBN Wells big stick sacks banks boards. Jais Bank MD not arrested by EFCC official. NMPC grows profit by 278% to 2.54 trillion naira in 2022. Army arrests 2 soldiers for brutalizing civilian in Rivers. Supreme Court decides Kanu. 6 other governorship disputes Friday. EFCC investigates 8 suspected oil thieves in Rivers. Zulum signs Borno's 358.7 billion naira 2024 budget into law. Kogi APC to sanction members engaged in anti-party activities during governorship election. Tinubu appoints new board for Christian Pilgrims Commission. Super Sports makes U-turn to A52 AFCON matches. Buala visits Tinubu, says suspension of Beta Edu shows a president's focus on people. 4 reasons why CBN sacked Board of Union. Keystone, Polaris Banks. Tinubu appoints Arabi substantive Nakon share management team. Mobilization. NYSC mandates use of NIN by prospective core members. CBN sacks board. We've taken this. Pastor who lost 5 children in boat mishap seeks Governor Fubara's help. Cookathon. Ghanaian chef completes Guinness World Record bid after 227 hours. Police confirm 11 passengers dead in Rivers boat mishap. Onikoyi's 2. Royal family knocks Dosumu branch over selection of another Oba elect. Police we've taken this. Alleged sexual harassment. Court grants ex-law dean 250 million naira temporary bail for surgery. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency unveils a new upgraded forensic lab. Governor Eno 6 we've taken this. ICPC chairman vows to appear in court to defend agency's cases. 3 arrested over disappearance of newborn baby from Nasarawa Hospital. 20 feared dead in Rivers boat accident. Court sets March 20th for judgment in suit challenging Saturday elections exams. Nigerian stocks end 8-day gains as banks slide. Nigerian stocks end 8-day gains as banks slide. That's the much we can take from the leadership newspaper this morning. And from the leadership newspaper, we'll flip over to Vanguard newspaper. Retired Civil War soldiers protest unpaid 44 years pension in Oyo. Articles aid gives reason he may defect to APC to support Tinubu. Third Mainland Bridge, gridlock paralyzes part of Lagos. How 2023 will affect Nigeria's political stability for decades. CBN appoints new executive officials for Union, Keystone, Polaris Bank, Zenith, Jazz Bank's MDs not arrested by EFCC. Property worth millions of naira destroyed in Ile-Ife Inferno, Beta Edu, and the crime scene called Nigeria. Ubi, Idoga, greatest casualties of 2023 electoral fraud, Labour Party. Diverse Nigerians can live together based on justice between Sanwo-Olu and the unruly soldiers. Imo set for Uzodinma's second term inauguration Monday. I didn't have any private conversation with Obasanjo Iwuanyanwu. I have no apologies for supporting Tinubu's administration. Articles spokesman Biwala. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Mubad, I am not satisfied with police investigation. Father, Rivers, pastor seeks help after losing 5 children in boat mishap. Cows are living animals too. Vendors, customers oppose South Korea dog meat ban. Nasarawa police arrest 3 suspects over alleged baby theft. And that's the much we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. From the Vanguard newspaper, we'll flip over to the Punch newspaper. Soludo planning to muzzle traditional wheelers. APC alleges. Accepts Supreme Court verdict in good faith. Chakarao tells Yusuf Gawuna. Supreme Court upholds Pinterest election. Reserves judgment on Abia poll. Akwa Ibom seeks Tinubu's support for deep sea port. Shaibu, ex-minister, attack Obaseki as another aspirant withdraws for Igadalo. Only peace deal can secure Kanu's release. Kalu tells IPOB. COVID-19 not over. 10,000 deaths recorded December. World Health Organization. COVID-19 not over. 10,000 deaths recorded December. World Health Organization. INEC plans over 8,500 beavers for by-elections. Wike's loyalist resigns as Fubara's chief of staff. Israel Hamas Pilgrims Commission dumps Jerusalem for Rome, Greece. I hope Beta Edu learns from her mistakes. Femi Pedro. Kanu to build 3.9 billion naira milk collection centers. Sanwo-Olu hails Otedola's 1 billion naira security donation. 8 Anambra monarchs risk suspension over title confinement. Central Bank of Nigeria appoints new executives for Union, Keystone, Polaris banks. Suspected kidnapper of Imo Monarchs ex-chair, FRSC official held. Japa, Nigeria can gain forest by exporting doctors, says governor. Early diagnosis key to tackling invasive fungal infections. Army planning operations for Enugu trouble spots. Chief of Army Staff. Experts says Nigeria losing health workers to tuberculosis. Obafemi Awolowo University alumni meet in Imo. President urges diligence, integrity. By election, ex-PDP chair picks tickets for Ebonyi South. Government FX policies easing business, says Airtel. Olu Catholic Diocese gets auxiliary bishop. Obasanjo's ex-minister Aguloye arraigned for $6 billion Mabila contract. U.S. hands over $500,000 forensic lab to National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. I will lead offenders trial in court. ICPC chair Obi urges federal government to cut governance court. Edu, EFCC quizzes top ministry officials. ICPC recovers 50 billion naira. Lagos state government gives condition to allow Lekki streets gates. Obey parking rules. Lagos State Parking Authority tells vehicle owners. Osun local government chairman endorse Adeleke for second term. That's the much we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. From the Punch newspaper, we'll flip over to the Sun newspaper. Mba commissions multiple projects. Lost Enugu North local government boss over performance. Supreme Court affirms Fintri's victory as Adamawa governor. Mba commissions will taking this. Edo Guba, APC begins sale of expression of interest, nomination forms. I feel betrayed by Obaseki. Edo Deputy Governor Shaibu. Governor Eno visits Tinubu, gets nod on Ibom Seaport, oil palm program. Otedola donates 1 billion naira to Lagos for security. Imo set for Ozodema's second term inauguration Monday. NLC suspends Imo delegates confirmed indefinitely. Iwuanyanwu to Tinubu, restructure Nigeria. Southeast, peace project incomplete without advocacy to release Kanu, PISEP. 2,000 youths to be trained on skill development. University of Lagos, professor's son records 5.00 CGPA. Boyini, local council DA boss, hails Oyebanji's leadership style. 438 million naira contract. Chehu Sani civil society organizations back Tunji Ojo says he hasn't violated any law. Moka urges Christians to pray for leaders. 5 family members, 6 others die. 14 rescued in Rivers boat mishap. $6 billion Mabila power project. Court remands ex-minister Aguloye in Kuje prisons. DPO removed over illegal detention of Lagos lawyer. Kidnap of 200 people in Bawa Kuje. Fake news. FCT police. Court fixes March 20th for judgment on suit seeking to stop exams on Saturdays. Newly refurbished forensic lab will enhance the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency's performance. Mawa fire raises filling station. Hostel bank in Osun. Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps arrests suspect for burning 4 Gombe houses. Bajabia Miller exonerates NLRC for From remittance failure, false valuation of lottery industry. Bajabia Miller exonerates NLRC from remittance failure, false valuation of lottery industry. Opata ranks Nigeria as 6th favorite for trophy. Edugate, Tunjojo has not violated any law, says Cheusani. Supreme Court to deliver judgment on Kanu governorship polls on Friday. PDP spokesperson Biwala visits Tinubu in Aso Villa. Tinubu appoints new board for Christian Pilgrims Commission. FS policy. Airtel CEO Ogusanya commends Tinubu. And that's the much we can take from the Sun newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Sun newspaper. We'll flip over to the Daily Post newspaper. CBN appoints new executives for Union, Keystone, Polaris banks. Anxiety as Supreme Court delivers judgment on Kanu Guba dispute Friday. Tinubu announces new appointments for NCPC, NACOM. Labour issues 14-day ultimatum to Kwara government. BBC documentary, multi-choice, removes TB Joshua's Emmanuel TV from DSTV. No NIN, no mobilization. NYSC tells prospective core members. No NIN, no mobilization. NYSC tells prospective core members. Communication Minister Bosun commends Nasarawa State for waiving ROW charges. Umo. 6. Tinubu's support to revamp Ibom Seaport, oil palm projects. Both mishap. Rivers government confirms the recovery of dead bodies. Southeast APC condemns Soludo's suspension of Anambra monarch. Court fixes March 30th for Adventist churches case against Saturday elections. $6 billion fraud. EFCC arraigns ex-minister of Power and Steel Development, Agunloye. That's the much we can take from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. From the Daily Post newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nation newspaper. NRC, 63 kilometers, Port Harcourt-Aba Railway Project. Airtel to build data center in Nigeria. Iwuanyanwu, Tinubu should prioritize restructuring Nigeria. Court to deliver judgment in suit seeking to stop polls on Saturdays. Tinubu celebrates banker Adeola at 70. CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, appoints new managers for dissolved union. Keystone, Polaris banks. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency gets upgraded forensic lab offices. NLC suspends IMO delegates conference indefinitely. AA laws president cutting down of entourage. APC women to embark on nationwide empowerment initiatives. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. Israel-Hamas war. Christian pilgrims now for Rome, Greece. Tinubu okays new boards for NACOM, NCPC, strengthening the National Safe Schools Initiative. Sanwo-Olu's vindication. University of Lagos graduates 340 first-class students. Still on suspension of degree certificates from Benin. Others. PBAT's cost-cutting paradigm shift. Babcock has no fake professors, says management. We will get justice for slain Nigerian students killed by Canadian police. CBN sacks boards of Union, Titan, Keystone, Polaris banks. And that's the much we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning. You are listening to newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. We will now go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Wono wogidi anamo wezibo madana odogwa bugana nande bugana nambarana wono wogidi anamo onwajo eze to maga bezina wa no wugi ana ifanyu dogwa ana Kandi mozi ke chuguduli banyu doku na benigwe ojezulike na ndogwa onwu nebuwa emalu.
Anyị jụhere a wee na-akpọgo oku ka ị bịa sonye na mmemme akwamozu nke High Chief Ifeanyi Michael Udokwu Ekwueme Onowu Ogidi onye jibu ọkwa Deputy Chairman All Progressives Alliance APGA na Anambra State ma bụrụ onye bụbu memba APGA Board of Trustees ma bụrụ founder Doka Furniture. Ọ dapụrụ ụwa lapụrụ onye nwe anyị ka o rechara ahụ ntakịrị oge na England ma ọ gbara afọ 71 wee na mmụọ mmemme akwamozu ụbọchị Wednesday abalị 10 n'ọnwa Jenụwarị afọ 2024 a ga-akara ya ụka ịmụ anya abalị na ngwurube ya ma ọ kwerekere ise n'oge uruchi n'uru Ezalụ Village Ogidi na ncherịta iru The Palace of His Royal Majesty Igwe Alex Ụzọ Onyido abalị 11 nke ọnwa Jenụwarị afọ 2024 ọ kwerekere 8 nke ụtụtụ ga-eburu ozu ya bute na Ogidi Town Hall dote ya ka akpechara ugwu ikpeazụ ọ kwerekere 10 nke ụtụtụ akara ụka onye nwere ahụ na Our Lady of Assumption Catholic Church Ogidi emechazie eli ozi ngwangwa gbasachara ụka na ngwurube ya ọ rapụrụ ụmụ ya anọ ka ha na-eruju ọnwụ ya tinyere nwunye ya bụ Iyom Antonia Udokwu Otodieme na ọtụtụ ndị ọzọ ndị metụtara ya Onowu Ogidi wee ezumike n'ime onye nwe anyị amen. Ndị bịara aka n'ọkwa bụ His Royal Majesty Igwe Alex Ụzọ Onyido Igwe Eze Chiomagha na Ogidi na Pastọ Eze Akọ Udokwu
0032763826
n'aha ezinụlọ
Onwu nebuwa emalu.
Chief Priest Dr. Eric Okafor Agaba Ogidi celebrates Agaba's Day. The great Agaba, the God of wealth and protection, come and celebrate with us to experience greatness in all ramifications of your life. Date, Sunday, 14th January 2024. Venue, Agaba Ogidi's compound, Eziogidi Village by Owa Junction. There will be display of different types of masquerades. Come one, come all. You can forward your request to this number 081 34 311 319 081 34 311 319. Signed, Chief Priest Dr. Eric Okafor Agaba Ogidi.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebona FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be.
Our government,
Street report is here to make sense of it all. Street report is causing social change across your streets. In your community, Street report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifeanyi number the first every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebona 103.5 FM as street reports unfolds
In your face.
on Emas in Ebona the corner
24/7, 24/7.
You're welcome back to Newspaper Headlines on Airborne at the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Airborne at the 103.5 FM. Drop your comments on the comment section of the live video. Stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. We are on to this day newspaper. CBN sacks boards. Management of 3 banks appoints new executives. Bayelsa fishing community raises alarm over oil spill. Airtel CEO, Tinubu's FX policy making planning easy. Airtel CEO, Tinubu's FX policy making planning easier. Bauchi wants tertiary education trust funds technical support to grow manpower. Adamawa Supreme Court dismisses SDP's appeal against FinTrade. Labaja to troops, remain loyal, committed to your constitutional responsibilities. Shaibu, how I was pressured to join Obaseki's campaign team in 2016. Nigeria, Saudi Arabia seeks collaboration on mining sector development. Bajabia Mila, exonerates NLRC from remittance failure, false valuation of lottery industry. Bauchi wants tertiary education trust fund. We've taken this. NCC declares unauthorized use of 5.4 GHz frequency band illegal. Moves to sanction errant operators. Stock market depreciates by 639 billion naira after 6-day gaining streak. Amcron, political actors must leverage social media to enhance good governance. NIPC seeks to audit pioneer incentive regime to boost impact on economy. Artificial intelligence reform will impact marketing communications in 2024. Leadway Assurance announces leadership transitions. AIICO Insurance marks 60th anniversary, applauds customers' loyalty. Mohalo, it will be wrong for Ganduje to impose leaders on Anambra APC. Ezife, end of a fearless Igbo voice. PDP National Working Committee empowered to nominate candidates for election. For Shaibu, the chicken has come to roast. Is Kubara building his own structure? Waja, an uncommon phenomenal representative. Much ado about sharing of Tinubu's Christmas rice by National Assembly members. That's the much we can take from this day newspaper this morning. From this day newspaper, we'll flip over to Nigerian Tribune. European Union introduces new import control system for modes of transport. Security agencies working together to stamp out criminality in Abuja. FCTA. Army redeploys 975 officers, cancels 120 postings. Oyo Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps gets new commandant as Adara Wewa deployed to Oshun. Anti-corruption fight. I will appear in court for prosecutions. ICPC share vows. CCT to rule on Kanu anti-corruption chairman's motion Friday. Peace project in Southeast not complete without advocacy for Kanu's release. PI SEP. NYSC, prospective corps members to register with NIN. I didn't threaten to kill Mohbad's wife, son, Teni Omo Ologo. Civil War veterans threatens shutdown of FG facilities over unpaid 45-year pension arrears. Baba Adini, inspiration, blessing to Lagos. Deputy Governor Hamzat. Jais Bank denies EFCC's arrest of MD, CEO. Security. Federal government to maintain defense cooperation with France. Minister. That's the much we can take from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. That will also mark the conclusion of all that we have for you on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebonade 103.5 FM. We'll now flip over to our WhatsApp portal to bring you reactions this morning. From our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have this message coming from Comrade Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu from Odumobusi, and he says, fellow Nigerians, we do not need a doctor, rampant demand with a third eye to tell us that with the high level of profligacy, fraud, lawlessness, miscarriage of justice, and blatant looting of the national treasury by politicians and agents of neo-colonialism have constrained economic development and undermined popular trust in government and democratic institutions and subverted accountability and rule of law. The resulting economic inequality continue to deepen social tension, violence with great danger to national stability and security. Is this the Nigeria of our dream? Now only Baba God go extricate us from this mess. Comrade Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu from Odumobusi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message is coming from Famous Christian and is joining us from Ifite Village, Aguluzi Igbo. Thank you so much. Good morning. We have this message coming from, there's no name to this, but he says, Kanu Poll, Supreme Court should not create more havoc in Kanu State. They should be impartial. I sympathize with the families of those that died in various boat mishaps in Nigeria. CBN sacking various executives, a sign of failing banks in Nigeria. Igwe suspension. Ndigbo should protect the interests of their various communities and not for their personal gains. Agwacha, White Lion of Africa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It is coming from Chike Obata from Obinetiti Okozu, and it says APC should not cause problem in Anambra. What Soludo did done during Obiano regime, okay? I consoled with pastor that lost his 5 children in boat mishap. P2B is right. Tinubu should hear all these calls for restrictions. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message is coming from Maluto Patrick from Munteje, and it says, I think it's high time the traditional rulers law in Anambra State be reviewed for the interest of both the traditional rulers, their subjects, and the entire people of Anambra State, in a situation where the traditional rulers would have to get permission from the state government before conferring chieftaincy title to individuals outside their communities. To be, to the best of my knowledge, is a gross aberration of the ancestral laws. I think the governors should concentrate more on governance and leave the issue of tradition to the traditional rulers. I am therefore of the opinion that the suspended traditional ruler of Nene community should be reinstated without delay. This is coming from Waluto Patrick from Munteje. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We now have this message coming from Christian Ufondo from Onisha. And he says, giving us the number of the people that have graduated in different universities cannot help the country, but how many of those that have been employed into one company, others could help us move forward. So our leaders should stop deceiving themselves. He continued and says, any person that took somebody to court because the person did not appoint an APC member is not far from a foolish person. And he says, because it is not lawful that all our administrators must be from APC, whether the person can do well or not. Moreover, in all indication, APC is trying to tell us that it does not want any other party in Nigeria. Let us open our eyes, because APC is gradually making itself the all in the country. He continued and said Nnamdi Kanu must be released, but we know that Nigerian government will not release Nnamdi Kanu. He will be released when, okay, and he says this is the type of case is, this is the type, this is how this type of case is being treated. So if somebody tell you that he or she knows 3 or more things without understanding that any leader of a freedom fighter that has been abducted by his oppressors will regain his freedom. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It is coming from Aja Black from Odume. And it says Tinubu and Co. should release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu for us. That's all. Okay, Aja, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from T-Man from Ikem Ifite, Nando. And it says, Army arresting 2 soldiers for brutalizing a civilian is a good example. They should be punished accordingly to be a deterrent to other soldiers and to curtail their excesses. I condole with the pastor who lost his 5 children in both Wisconsin in River State, and his plea for assistance should not be neglected. T-Man from Ikem Ifitenando. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from John from Okoto, and it says Chris Ngige's statement that APC will take over Anambra State in 2025 is laughable. Ngige should have learned his lessons from the last governorship election in Anambra State when APC was completely rejected and did not have up to 3,000 votes. He will also know that for joining APC, he and his co-travelers will hardly win elections again in the state. Also, Beta Edu, let there be a comprehensive investigation in that ministry and other ministries under the last administration of Buhari, because corruption was at its highest level when trillions of naira were stolen. So let the investigations and probe go round so that Nigerians will see the mess they left us for. John Ume, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Obiora from Okozo, and it says, Army planning attacks on Enugu trouble spots. Please, where are the trouble spots in Enugu? We have army in Nigeria, but bandits, terrorists, and kidnapping are common in Nigeria, especially in the north. Why Enugu? Are they planning another Python dance or another misbombing innocent citizens? And he says, please, army, start fighting corruption and crimes from executives. No more masses. No poor masses. Okay, arrest Buhari and insecurity will stop in Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's coming from Obiora from Okozo. Now we have this message. It's coming from Engineer Ebuka Joshua Dawson. He's joining us from 3-3, and he says kudos to Fintri as the Supreme Court affirms Fintri's victory as Adamawa governor. From Engineer Ebuka Joshua Dawson from 3-3. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from Akedia Amoke Onyanabana Omonachi, and he says, what is the problem of the mention? The 4 mentioned banks, those 3 banks, please let us know so that we can know whether to continue banking with them. Soludo withdrawal of chieftaincy certificate to some of the traditional rulers in Anambra State is good, but let them check very well to know the offenses they committed, and also NYSC and NIN saga. To get NIN is not that easy. Please let the NIN offices be open at all local government areas for easy obtainance. This is coming from Akedia Amoke Onyanabana Omonachi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, from our SMS portal this morning, we have this message coming from Honorable Onyedeko Sakwe, and he says, obtaining foreign obtaining foreign certificates is like purchasing akra in Oyolisa market. Nigerians are always good in cutting corners. It is only bad omen that is being imported easily in Nigeria. The whole world has taken Nigeria as a borrowing nation, and you know that a borrowing, or that he that goes a borrowing goes a sorrowing. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's flip over to our Facebook portal for more reactions. From our Facebook portal this morning, we have this message coming from Chukwuma Onyoka, and he is joining us from Nimo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Happy New Year to you too. Now, we have this message coming from Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri, and she says, no hiding place for corrupt people. Majority of our leaders have failed us. Nigerians are now having confidence, a confidence meltdown. And it says a situation of having little or no confidence in the system and its leadership. We earnestly prayed God to rescue us from bad willers and bad governance. If it is now that we realize that those years were better days compared to what we are seeing now that is making our hearts bleed. Let there be stiffer penalties for corrupt people in Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we have this message coming from Chinwuba Ume, and he says, Agonabo, and he's joining us from Ufar Igbo, and he says, Israel Hamas war, let Hamas release the people they kidnapped so that there will be peace. And he says, and I'm of the opinion of restructuring as the only way to live together. But the injustice and cabals and criminals who benefit from the calamity of others won't allow it to be, and let them release Nnamdi Kanu for peace for peace to reign in the southeast. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, on our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have this message that is coming from, this one is coming from Amecha Nene from Uru, and it says, let the federal government release Nnamdi Kanu for us so that there will be peace in the southeast. As for Ngige, APC is nowhere to be found in Anambra State. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, we have this message. It is coming from Valentine Edene from Ompo, and it says, check your state of health. Whenever you stay without Nigerian news, you notice that you are in good health, but listen to Nigerian news just a day. You will make a day. It will make you fall sick. Navy, soldiers, Air Force, yet killings are arising. What are they doing? So sorry to Mother Nigeria. Valentine Edena from Mpo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Kenneth Ndubisi Okafor from Ohanaeze Ndigbo, and he says, I applaud the US for handing over $500,000 forensic lab to National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. But I must emphasize on maintenance culture. Nigeria lacks maintenance culture. This is what we experience every day from government institutions. Also, lack of manpower to such forensic lab will cripple its function. Furthermore, Kalu stated that only peace deal will secure Nnamdi Kanu release. Igbo people are peace-loving people, and there was never a time they violated or destroyed anything because of inhuman treatment meted to Nnamdi Kanu. I commend Igbos for their conduct so far. More so, I advise Governor Soludo to back out from traditions and customs in various communities. He should allow the traditional rulers to exercise their rights without interference from government. Kenneth Ndubisi Okafor from Ohanaeze Ndigbo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is the spot where we'll call it a day on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ohanaeze 103.5 FM. Remember, it comes your way weekdays in the morning once it's 7 o'clock, so keep a date. And don't touch the dial of Ohanaeze 103.5 FM. Once it's 8:20 today, we'll be back with Birthday Splash. So keep a date and don't touch this dial. Till we meet again, I am Martin. Have a fabulous morning.
Can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ohanaeze FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be. Street report is there to make sense of it all. Street report is causing social change across your streets. In your community, Street Report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Iwuanyanwu, as our number the force every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ohanaeze 103.5 FM as Street Reports on Fools.
In your face.
On Ohanaeze Ohanaeze corner
24/7, 24/7.
Family is the foundation of the society. Now, the never 103.5 FM, wherever I
Papa, Mama, na ụmụaka maka ịmata ihe gbasara ezinụlọ. Sonyelu Classic Lady.
Eminary Classic Lady.
N'ebe ọ na-adị 103.5
FM. No girl dị mma ezinụlọ. Canada bịara gị every Tuesday na Friday, 3 to 4 p.m.
Biko nwanne m bekene ka m jụọ gị, kedu ebe m ga-enweta ezigbo MC maka mmemme na-akwado?
Ị ga m ajụ kpọọ Shaka, the latest MC in town, ka occasion gị anwa bụrụ ịba. Ị na-achọ ezigbo MC maọbụ DJ na agbamakwụkwọ go, agbamnkwụ go, child dedication go, imepe ụlọ, ọ bụzi ụmụ akwụkwọ na-eme graduation maọbụ end of the year party. Shaka bịa na mmemme ahụ. Ị mara na I love you bụ Selekunse. Kpọọ ya n'akara ekwentị ndị a.
09022670547 maọbụ WhatsApp